Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be doing another review roundup, this time for Digimon Story Time Stranger. This is a new JRPG coming from Bandai Namco and Media.Vision. It releases on October 2nd, 2025, coming to Xbox Series, PlayStation 5, and PC. Right now on the OpenCritic page, it has an 82, with 75% of critics recommending it. That's pretty good. Previously, Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, which were the last two releases in the Digimon Story franchise, received 75 and 72 respectively. So this is a pretty big step up, at least 7 points up from Digimon Cyber Sleuth. So I think Digimon fans can be pretty confident that if you enjoyed Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, that this one is only going to be better than those. I think, generally speaking, Digimon fans probably weren't too concerned with reviews. I think trailers and preview coverage of this game alongside the demo kind of showed everything they needed to see about it. I've seen a lot of excitement online for the game. But this can only reassure Digimon fans that they're getting a really great game. For other people, like me, who aren't Digimon fans but are still interested in the game, both from seeing its gameplay, presentation, and the general genre that it's in, being a JRPG, I still thought it looked great, and it was really one of the games coming out for the remainder of the year that I was really looking forward to, and I was interested in seeing how it did. This kind of falls in line with where I expected it to be, low 80s. There's been a lot of great games that have come out this year, so it's hard to really say that I'm going to hop on this one day one, especially with that $70 price tag. I think Digimon fans see that $70 price tag and don't even look twice. I think they're just immediately going to purchase the game without really any reservations. Whereas the rest of us who are more on the fence about purchasing, I think this 82 makes us think, oh, I want to get to that, but I'll probably wait for a sale. Now looking more into the reviews, I wanted to look at 3 different reviews. 2 of them are positive, 1 of them is on the negative side, so we can kind of see where that average review score is dropping. So as always, all the reviews that we'll be talking about today are linked in the description below. Highly recommend you guys go check them out. Alright, let's hop into the first review from Noisy Pixel, who gave the game a 9 out of 10. And concluded the review by saying, Digimon Story Time Stranger feels like the payoff longtime fans have been waiting for, while still opening the door to newcomers curious about the series. That's me. The story starts small, but steadily grows into a tale that ties the human and digital worlds together in a way that feels earned. What kept me hooked was how every system connected, turning even the smallest interactions into steps towards something larger. Digivolution works as a layered puzzle of traits, bonds, and timing that never stops rewarding the effort you put in. Boss fights challenge you to use everything you have learned, while the various systems give you room to push back. If you've been missing the call of the Digidestined, then this is the perfect time to answer it. Okay, I have no idea what Digidestined means, but if you do, go answer it. They also have a little blurb here I wanted to read out. Seems like another summary of the review and the feelings. Digimon Story Time Stranger is a standout entry in the Digimon franchise, blending rich storytelling with an expansive Digivolution system that rewards strategy and patience. Set across dual timelines, the game introduces emotionally engaging characters, deep combat mechanics, and a highly customizable team-building experience that longtime fans and newcomers alike can appreciate. So they also break it down into 2 different sections, the good and the bad. The good, deep Digivolution system. Digivolution, how the fuck do you say that? Over 450 Digimon with branching evolution paths create endless strategic possibilities. Emotionally resonant story, narrative moments like, okay, that's a spoiler, I think, if you really care, I think that's a spoiler, but I'm just going to skip over it just in case. Layered turn-based combat, cross arts and elemental weaknesses keep battles dynamic and rewarding. Immersive world building, Digimon villages and NPC interactions enhance the feel of a living digital world. Strong customization options, personality traits, bonds, and stat growth make team building personal and engaging. And here's the bad. Slow early pacing. The main story takes over 20 hours to truly ramp up, which may deter some players. Yeah, that'll deter me. 20 hours to truly ramp up. I know we're talking about JRPGs here, but that seems egregious. Let's keep going with some of the bad points. Repetitive dungeon design. Most environments are compact and rely on simple traversal gimmicks. Over-reliance on field attacks. The preemptive strike system becomes tedious due to frequent enemy ambushes. So this is an encouraging review from a trusted source Noisy Pixel. Go check them out. But yeah, if you're a Digimon fan, seems like things are looking good as of this review. Let's move on to the big boy, IGN, who gave the game an 8 out of 10. Great. Their little blurb is Digimon Story Time Stranger has a few minor hiccups, but it builds on its predecessors to deliver one of the best Digimon RPGs to date. There's a summary here. It has a much more engaging story this time around, thanks to its clever time travel setup and a charismatic and lively cast of Digimon characters. Even though its human cast pales in comparison, it didn't stop me from wanting to see this time-hopping adventure all the way through its roughly 30 to 40 hours campaign. The turn-based combat is fairly straightforward, but the nuances in tight matchups and the tinkering you can do with your party's evolutions and movesets adds quite a lot of depth. So while this adventure has a few minor hiccups, it's one that made me very glad to be back in the digital world once again. So yeah, this time we get a hint of the length of the game from someone who's played it, roughly 30 to 40 hours campaign. Given that in the Noisy Pixel review, we heard that the first 20 hours are a bit slow, that's a little concerning. But seems like IGN here is giving the game a pretty positive review. They seem to really like the story. The combat kind of got them through it, but they weren't crazy about it. Coming from another Digimon fan with a positive review, keep an eye out to see if there's any non-Digimon fans to see their perspective. But yeah, I think another reassuring review for Digimon fans that this game will probably please you. Next, we have a review from Push Square, who gave the game a 6 out of 10. I want to look at the start of their review and then the end of the review. I think they say something very interesting here at the start. The core of Digimon Story Time Stranger is fantastic. As is the case with the Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth games, the underlying system of discovering, raising, and evolving your Digimon is where this long-awaited RPG excels. However, all too often, Time Stranger stands in its own way, sidelining its brilliantly addictive gameplay loop in favor of a linear, story-driven structure that consistently limits your freedom. And at the end of the review, they conclude by saying, if Digimon Time Stranger just sat back and allowed its largely fantastic RPG systems to breathe, it could be counted amongst the finest of Digimon games. But instead, it gets bogged down in a disappointingly linear design that limits combat and party-based progression at almost every turn. Despite being packed with such clear potential, Time Stranger ends up feeling like a frustrating misfire. So with that, you get kind of a sense of why the reviews aren't higher. So the pros: fantastic monster taming. Digivolution system is so addictive. The digital world is a joy to behold. Some cool story moments, hundreds of unique Digimon, and Digimon writing. The cons: frustratingly linear design, dull characters, incredibly flat localization, super basic side quests, boss battles can be a chore, and shockingly bad frame rate. That last one I want to focus on. So if you don't know, Push Square is a PlayStation-focused website. So they do all their reviews, or at least try to do all their reviews, on PlayStation. And something interesting about this game, on the PlayStation version at least, seems to be capped at 30 FPS on PS5 and PS5 Pro. And if you've seen the game, it's kind of hard to justify why that would be. It doesn't seem like the game that's pushing the latest ray tracing tech. And more interestingly, for me at least, the game is not launching on Nintendo Switch or Nintendo Switch 2. And that seems strange because Digimon, you would expect, turn-based JRPG coming from Bandai Namco, that's got to be launching on Switch, you would assume, but it's not. And I think that's really going to hurt the sales of the game by like hundreds of thousands of copies. I think Digimon would sell very well on Nintendo Switch. I think, if anything, that might even be the most activated audience that they would have. And I don't understand why they're not launching on it. This is a Japanese-developed game with a Japanese publisher and the most popular Japanese video game console it's not coming to. Just seems like a really, really dumb decision, honestly. So yeah, going back to some of the cons, linear design. Another complaint he had, dull characters. Seems like that's maybe more of a subjective thing. Another reviewer we looked at praised the characters. And then interestingly, incredibly flat localization. This is something you gotta always pay attention to when you're playing Japanese games, how people are talking about the localization. I think localization, one of the most important things for JRPG to get right, so I can understand why that would be disappointing. I think something like the Yakuza games go above and beyond in their localization efforts. So yeah, that gives us a full breadth, I guess, of, how people are feeling about Digimon Story Time Stranger. Got some of the higher reviews out there with Noisy Pixel with 9 out of 10, maybe more of the middle of the pack with 8 out of 10 coming from IGN, and then an outlier negative review from Push Square showing that, this game's reception seems to be a little bit all over the place, mostly positive though, I will say. Seems like it's coming in higher at previous Digimon Story games. So if you were a fan of those, you're sure to be a fan of this. I have a feeling that Digimon fans are going to buy this game regardless. So maybe the reviews don't matter at all. Missing out on the Switch version, kind of insane, but hey, I'm sure it'll come later. I'm sure it'll sell later. But it's got to hurt to not be there day one for sure. So yeah, let me know if you guys are picking this up in the comments below. Let me know if you checked out the demo. What did you think of it? Did that sell you on the game? Did it deter you from the game? What do you think about the reviews? Have they deterred you? Were you always going to buy the game anyway? Let me know what you think. Thanks for listening and watching, and subscribe for more coverage of the Japanese games industry. Goodbye.